So this is a 1940s Mid-States welder, and this is the missing link. I believe it's a high frequency unit that basically you just run the power through this. So you plug this into the welder, and that outputs 60 hertz signal, and then this converts that to a higher frequency, which evidently makes it easier to start arcs and to stop arcs, or something like that. And also evidently makes it better for welding thin materials. But since this thing's probably from the 1940s, I've always been a bit concerned about turning it on. And so I've only been using the base, just the raw transformer, which is a pretty substantial welder. It's a 150 amps, about 80 volts, continuous duty. My friend Thermionic Man recently bought one. It looks like his is older, and the reason why I'm taking this apart now is because I want to compare whenever I see his. Oh, whoops. Mine also has a busted plug. On the back of this is a 120 volt connector, and so I'll need to put a new plug in before I can test this. I forgot I bought this cool pair of pliers. Axwall Tool Co. Forge, Germany, British Zone. So it's got some history behind it. There's some substantial rusting on here. Ugh. First off, there's like a military badge or something. I've seen those before. Oof. Makes me happy I didn't try turning it on. Although I would have opened it up before turning it on, don't worry. As a testament to how old this thing is, they use wood as effectively a precursor to circuit boards, because all the components are mounted on wood, plywood to be specific. It's really interesting. So this is the ground wire, and it goes directly back out, but the electrode wire is the one that goes around this really thick coil, and on the inside is another coil, but it's much thinner and flatter, so I'm not sure what that means. We have a transformer over here which says SOLA, S-O-L-A 55107, primary 230 volt 60 cycle, secondary 3000 volt 80 milliamp, and then serial number, but it doesn't have a serial number. If I'm ever going to test this, I'll have to replace whatever that is, and I'll have to replace whatever that is. This is a metal can with two connectors. Looks very, the connectors look very much like an older style motor starter connector, capacitor. The condenser, I guess you'd call it. And so this is probably a capacitor. But this is actually porcelain, and there's a big crack going through it. I can actually push the two sides apart. So that definitely is not working either. But I doubt I would ever trust something that old, because it's probably 70 years old. We'll have to take a look at my friend's missing link and see if it has the same configuration. Although I think his has a metal piece that goes around the bottom. So instead of just these pieces of bent sheet metal, it's actually like a cast little feet for it to sit onto the transformer box. You know what? I'm usually not very smart with these types of things, but I think I might understand how this works. This coil is one continuous piece that goes 6 turns around the coil, which is like a fiberglass tube, and then it goes directly out to the electrode. So it's not very long, it's just a short little loop. And then that other loop goes through here with thinner wires. You know what I bet's happening? I bet the transformer just takes the waveform and shakes it about. And so the normal 60 hertz signal becomes very noisy. And so this is feeding in some like a higher frequency or something. And I bet that might be something to do with the frequency generator. And so all it is just disrupting. It's very rapidly pulling power from it, putting power back in, pulling power from it, putting power back in. And that makes a ripple, which actually makes a bit of a higher frequency. But I could be wrong. That's just something that kind of intuitively struck me, that might be how that works. It really depends on what that is, because... Oh. Alright, so it says Aerovox, A-E-R-O-V-O-X, mica capacitor, type 1994, peak voltage 7000, microfarad 0.003, well, that's not very easy to read. It has amps, and on the left it says 910, and on the right it says 15,000. Looks to be wording on the top, but I can't read that either. So I guess that's it. I could try to open it up and do some fancy stuff with it right now, but since I'll be seeing Thermionic Man's missing link unit in a few days, I think it's best to wait, and I can do a video on that one, and we can learn a lot. If it's exactly the same, we can compare, and if not, we can learn. I imagine they probably changed the internals quite a bit though. I do feel bad that I had stored this welder in a shed that, well, it let too much of the Illinois moisture in, and so it's been rusting up quite a bit. It might be time for a bit of repainting for this. And plus, I had an issue where raccoons kept getting into my shed and pissing over everything. And evidently their piss is really bad at making things rust even worse. And now I got the new workshop and have a dehumidifier to keep it at 55% humidity, and shouldn't have those problems any longer. So that's pretty much it. I'm not going to be trying to turn it on right now because, well, to be honest, I want to try turning on Thermotic Man's welder and blow his up before I blow mine up. And so we can go blow up his welder next week, or this week actually, and we can see how not to blow up mine. I hope you guys enjoyed this very quick little video at the missing link of the Mid-States welder, and thank you very much for watching. See ya.